Hello and welcome. In today's episode, we're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to show you how I trimmed out all the windows with wood in this whole house, this little 448 square foot cabin, for less than 200 bucks. And at the end of the episode, I'll show you the breakdown of the materials of basically just the boards, the lumber, of how much it was and how many did I buy, as I usually do on this channel, so you can have an idea how much this stuff really costs. So the boards are made in Sweden, so that's interesting. That board that you just saw me install in the window, put it on the windowsill, this is kind of show you a little bit how that came about. I'm cutting the notches out, since this is the board that I'm messing with right now. It's a 1x6. And the reason I'm using 1x6 because I want a little bit of a ledge on the windowsill, so you can put maybe a cell phone on there or something, or maybe a little flower pot, so you can store stuff on there. So this is how it turned out. I needed two long ones, and this is what you're looking at. So see, it's all notched out in the middle. I want it all one solid piece, so it looks nice and together, so it doesn't look just discombobulated. And this is how I use everything. These are paint stirring sticks from Home Depot, and I use them as shims. So do not tell Home Depot that, or they'll ban me from the store. But I try to find use for everything that I got around me. And you'd be surprised if you don't throw out all your scraps, you'd be surprised what you can use it for. And this is how I stained everything, just with a simple rag. And as you can see, this is just very, very simple to do. You just gotta get all the edges. And eventually, when I installed all these boards, I missed like 2 or 3 those little edges on the right side, but that's no big deal. You can touch it up later. So this is part of the whole job. It's very simple work, to be honest. See here, I'm just nailing that in. This is not difficult. It's the tools that you have are going to make this job easier for you. So the better tools you have, the easier this job is going to be on you. And this is how I cut that board. Speaking of those tools, this is just a simple Ryobi table saw that I bought for 99 bucks. The motor is not the strongest, but it gets the job done. And just be careful when you're working with it. You can kind of see my fingers going towards it, but the blade is still far away. And usually when I get closer to the edge, to the end of the board, I use a wood, a piece of wood. Oh my God, what is wrong with my brain? And this is Mother Nature decided to rain on top of my head here and move my operation indoors. So I had to take everything off the truck that I like to use as my working area, and I put everything on the inside. And that is me staining the little boards that I was ripping a second ago. That it's what's called contractor talk, ripping a board when you cut it that way, that I was doing it the long way. And here, just so you know, I'm doing all this with like one day was a migraine, and then the next 2 days were just headaches. And it took me 2 days to do this job, so I was pretty much working with a headache the whole time. And you do see homemade earplugs that I put in my ears, which is just toilet paper that I stuck in my ears. If you look inside my earlobe, you can see it. So it was 2 days of work. To be specific, maybe a day and a half, even with my headaches and everything, because this is really not hard to do. You can kind of see me here, what I'm doing. I'm using a pencil as a spacer. I don't know if you caught that, you can always rewind it. Because I wanted a custom kind of like a 3D look to these boards. So if you look to the left and the right of those boards, you can see I set them back a little bit, the width of that pencil, just so it just looks a little bit more three-dimensional, and it just doesn't look so plain where everything is just boxy. And I don't know, I just like that look. So on the top and all the edges, you'll see it in a second a little bit more when I show you up close and personal, that I like that little 3D look where I have a little bit exposed edges on the side. So there, I'm putting the interior ones. I had to rip those as well. Those were 1x4s that I ripped pretty much to the size. This is what I have in my hand right now, is a 1x5. So with this project, I used 1x3s, 1x4s, 1x5s, and 1x6s. This is all materials you can get at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, any kind of a lumber yard. So, and it's stuff that's already available on the shelf, so you don't have to special order it. No custom work. Here you can see me just measuring from the inside of the side pieces for the board, because I want the windowsill kind of to overlap and give me a little edge. If you look to the right, you can see it's kind of the windowsill piece is the 1x6 is going a little bit longer than the other trim. It just gives it a little bit more of a custom look. So that's the window in the bedroom. It's 2 windows side by side. Those windows are 4 feet by 4 feet. I also got them at Home Depot, and they are triple pane windows. If you're curious how much they cost or the price, how much they were, I have an episode. You can just look for my channel and see it. So that's what I do on this channel, just list all these prices. So that's how it turned out in the bedroom. I absolutely love this style. It is nice and simple. You can see kind of the reveal that I was talking about, that 3-dimensional look, that it's not perfectly aligned, and that's the way I like it. You see that? It's got like a little lip on it. And I think it turned out great. And for not even 200 bucks, I did the whole house for $200. And then at the end, when everything was finished, I did a little bit of adjusting and everything with shims and just a chisel, just to make sure everything is kind of level. And you can see that here, that this board needed to be motivated a little bit. So I had to use a clamp on it. And when you do something like what I'm doing right now, you gotta be really careful, because you can see I got the clamp hooked up to the other side of the window. So you don't want that to be too tight, so you don't want to crack your window. So you just gotta be very careful. But as you're working with these tools, whatever tools you have, if you worked with them a couple of times, you'll get a feel of how things work, and you'll know the limits of your tools. But it just takes practice, and this is not really hard to do. It's just you gotta know what to do and what order stuff goes in, and that's basically that. It is not rocket science. This job does not have to cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 that sometimes people quote for these kind of jobs. Like I said, I bought materials for about 200 bucks, and that's how much it was since I did it by myself. And every single one of you can do this. If you make a mistake or something like that, I mean, one of those boards is like, depends on which one it is, $3, $4, $5. So it's not a fortune. But if you get good at this, see me waving the pencil for spacing again. If you get good at this, you can actually make a living out of it, or you can do everything yourself. And you save yourself, once again, a bunch of money, because you don't have to pay somebody to do this for you. And I've had some crazy quotes through my life when I was working on these kind of projects. I had one guy that I wanted to hire for trim work, and he came out with his buddy, and they looked at the house and everything, and they walked away in the other room and started talking, and they said, okay, we can do that for 1,500 bucks. Which I kind of looked at them, and I'm like, what? That's a little much, because this is a one-day job for 2 of you guys, and 1,500 bucks, $750 a day for each of you for one day. That's a little bit of excessive, since I provided all the materials, the nails, everything. All they had to do is just come in and trim out and do the work. So I told them, you know what? That's not gonna work for me. That's too much. So then they went home, and one of the guys called me and asked, well, can I still do the job for you? I'll tell my buddy to stay home, and I can do the job and cheaper. And I'm like, you know what? It was just too much what you guys quoted me. I'm not really interested. And then he goes, well, I really need the job. I could use the work. And then the kicker was, which kind of really told me not to hire this guy, to not even get involved with him. He told me that since his buddy is staying at home, I can do the job cheaper, but you'll have to pick me up because I got a DUI and I can't drive, so you gotta pick me up from work. So you're telling me that I'm gonna hire you, and then I have to pick you up like a baby from your house because you can't get to my house, so you can do a job for me? Yeah, no thank you. I don't want to get involved with people like that. That's just a headache. So that's just one of the stories, and there's a lot more that I have that is just crazy stuff. It's honestly even hard to believe some of the things. Well, see, this is how this one turned out. Nice and simple, beautiful. I mean, I love it. That one piece on the bottom still needed to be stained. I missed it. But see the ledge on the windowsill? You can put whatever you want there. Maybe cell phone or drinks if you have your sofas there. You have the little reveal in the middle again, the spacing with that I did with the pencil. And I think it turned out great. I love this. You saw me level this board earlier with the shims and everything. It's pretty good. It's not perfect. I still needed to adjust it. You can see that right there. Then you can adjust the board up so you can bring it up a little bit. It's no big deal. But it turned out great. I love it. For 200 bucks, something like this. This is the reason why I love what I do. It's this thing is really starting to come together now, and I'll show you here the finished product coming up in a second. But it's starting to really look like a little cabin. So here's the day where I cleaned up and everything, just so I can invite you guys in, and you can see how everything looks. So that's the window we just finished. And I'm going to give you a little tour of the place so you have an idea how it's all coming together. So you see the tongue and groove on the ceiling. You got the 1x4 boards on that window. Look at that, 2 doors for cross ventilation. You can get a screen door with the screen and you can have them open. You can see the holes for the can lights. That hole in the middle on the wall, that's for the smoke detector. Those 2 holes close to the window, that's for lights. I'm gonna have 2 lights in the kitchen instead of 1. I figured 2 windows, 2 lights. Pipes sticking out for the sink. You can kind of see where the sink is gonna be. So there's the electrical panel that you can see. Tongue and groove ceiling. Everything is vaulted, as you can see. Again, the light for the fan. And that's this bedroom. I still gotta get better with the camera work, so I don't have the flares or whatever the heck it's called. I gotta start putting some lights when I'm doing these kind of things. That's obviously the entryway into the bedroom. That's the bathroom. Little window in the bathroom, trimmed out the same exact way. I mean, I love it. This is why I love what I do. I truly love what I do. So when I see stuff like this, I mean, I'm recording the voiceover here and I'm kind of grinning because it's just amazing that just a couple weeks ago this was nothing but dirt and I got a house going now. So perfect, look at that. And this is a sneak peek at what the next episode is gonna be. It's Shaw flooring. This was from Lowe's. And you can see kind of the color. I'm trying to keep everything in the same color palette as the rest of the cabin. So that's what I'll be putting down, and it is tongue and groove and it's vinyl. So it's very, very flexible. And that's just my mess here, just so you can see kind of what I'm dealing with and how tools look and stuff. You don't need anything fancy. A bunch of holes in the wall for receptacles. Once again, tongue and groove, which I think turned out perfect, and you can see the price of that in the previous episodes as well if you're curious. See, look at that, 200 bucks for window trim. Not even. It came out freaking great. I love it. I'm not gonna stain the deck. Maybe I'll do it later, completely at the end of the project, or maybe not at all. We'll see how it works out. But see, that's a 1x3 that I'm pointing to. That is a 1x5 in the middle. That is a 1x4 on the bottom. The windowsill, that's a 1x6. And see, that's a 1x4 on top over there. So not bad. And the windows are 4 feet by 4 feet. So freaking cool. I'm such a nerd. I love this stuff. And here's the little breakdown for you. So these are the boards that I originally got. That's the picture that you saw in the community tab with the pickup truck with the supplies in the back. So it was 162 bucks plus tax. And I did have to pick up 2 or 3 boards extra. that I had to get, so I didn't get enough. So basically about 200 bucks, and the right tools will make your life a lot easier if you're doing this kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind, and here's the view. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.